It's Cricbuzz chatter. Adam Collins, Michael Vaughan. Stumps Day 2 here at Lords, where Australia made 416 in their first innings. Steve Smith completing his 32nd ton. The real action was really after tea there. 278 for 4 England. They still trail by 138, but they lost 3 wickets to the short ball in a rather inexplicable passage of play. Nathan Lyon injured, in all probability, out of the Test match with a problematic calf. And then they just throw it away. They missed the chance to drive Australia into the turf. What's going on, Vaughan?
Well, it's England. It's this new Test Bazball way. It's entertaining, But I would say to them, look, when you get to 182 for 1, and the number one spinner really is walking around the outfield, it's quite clear he's got a problem. Surely then you've got to realise that the entertaining way that you've got to 182 for 1, and then Pat Cummins, he had no other option, no lateral movement, no seam movement. Right, we'll go short. It's always it's the last chance to loon as a skipper. When you turn to that, it's like, oh no, there's nothing left, and they set the short ball theory. England just fell into that trap, and I will say to England, at that spell, entertainment, yes, and we've been entertained royally, but there comes a time where the stupidity comes into play, and for that half an hour period, Joe Root was out twice.
Yes.
He was out twice. To lose 3 wickets should have been 4. Harry Brook was then dropped. Labuschagne with a tough one at square leg. To play against really quality teams, and this Australian team are quality, even though they look like they're a man down, they'll always find a way and they'll always fight. And once you get on top against quality, you have to nail it. You really do have to nail it. And I love England's confidence, and I love Ben Duckett because he just come out and says it. They don't mind chasing 300, 350. They think the wicket will get better and better. But it's all right chasing that kind of score against lesser teams. But against a quality Australian team, who are the number 1 Test team in the world, I don't think it's going to be as easy as that.
But they've done such a great job of laying that foundation. Duckett and Pope were going exquisitely. I mean, sure, there might have been a couple of half chances, and Duckett wasn't always utterly convincing, but that is the point. Lyon, not even walking off. He was basically being carried off the field. He's getting, I assume, scans or intervention tonight on that. We'll learn more before tomorrow morning, I'm certain. But the point is that that's the juncture where if they choose to, they can absorb a bit of pressure. They can face a bit of short stuff. They're big boys. They've been around for a while. Yeah. Instead, it's as though they, from an egotistical perspective, wouldn't allow a scenario where Australia were able to bolt them for a while.
Yeah, I reckon when you go to the short ball theory, I reckon you've got 6 to 8 overs max.
Yeah.
You've got 6 to 8 overs to duck and weave. And, I actually think the easy option is to take it on. I honestly think in cricket, the easy option is to go, all right, I'm just going to play the shots. The hard option is to go, you know what, I'm going to duck and weave. I'm just going to play this period against the trend of what we're about, but it's the right way to play for this particular moment. I've not known any sporting team in the history of sport just play one way.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adapt. Yes, be aggressive. Yes, be positive. But over the course of 5 days against quality, it can't be that you're just positive all the time. And it's not negative to see off a bowling spell of 8 overs, 6 overs, 90 miles an hour bounces, go duck and weave. Mitchell Starc get 4 more overs under his legs. You ask any quick bowler, what's the hardest ball to bowl on a slow wicket? It's the bouncer. So you'd have got 3 or 4 more overs out of Pat Cummins, 3 or 4 more overs out of Mitchell Starc. That wears them down potentially for the second innings, and you don't lose as many wickets doing it. But it's the England way. They'll continue to play in this fashion. They're clearly a team that's exciting, but they're clearly a team that will allow the opposition back into the game, even when they're on top. And I have to say, I thought Crawley played beautifully.
Yep.
I thought he was in fine form. Duckett, he left 2 balls, so I was clapping his 2 leaves. He got a tremendous 98. He played some tremendous stroke. Again, a very difficult player to bowl to, and he had Australia by the danglies. He had them. Ollie Pope was playing nicely. He played a shot earlier in the summer for Surrey, very similar, where he kind of got inside it and he flicked it over fine for 6. That was all right on a quicker wicket, but on a slower surface, it's quite a hard shot to play the pull shot because you're not too sure about the pace of the ball off the pitch. So sometimes kind of controlling the pull shots on a slower surface is a lot harder than on a quicker pitch. England are entertaining, Colo, but am I a bit old school to say, can you just play sensibly when you're on top just for half an hour? All I'm asking is half an hour of sense.
Isn't the proof in that Stokes is 17 from 57 overnight? Like, he and Brook actually did shut up shop after Brook got dropped. I acknowledge that he was dropped at square leg when taking on a short ball, but Brook's playing on a different planet right now. I mean, he's just $1 million. But Stokes said, well, I'll play for the close, almost an emblem that if they're not precluded from doing this. He's done it at Edgbaston too before lunch in the second innings. It's just though he seems like he's the only guy at the moment who's got licence to not play that way, which seems odd given he's the captain.
Yeah, I'd love Joe Root to play in that way as well. He's too good a player to gift Australia. 2 wickets today. He was out twice. The young lads who are coming through, they're obviously trying to expand and play this aggressive attacking way. And the youngsters, I'm kind of going, we'll give them a bit of leeway, but hopefully they'll learn. Hopefully the next time they're in that opportunity of kind of nailing a really good team, and it might come in a week's time, 2 weeks' time. What England can't afford is to go 2-0 down. Yeah. And what they've done is they'll talk positive. They always do, this England side, and say, we'll get to parity, we'll potentially get a lead. But when the sun shines, and I believe the forecast is all right tomorrow, and Australia get to bat again on that, you start looking at how you're going to bowl Australia out in the second innings, and what are you going to be chasing in the fourth innings of the match against quality. You're not up against a team that doesn't know how to win. This Australian team know how to get over that. We saw that in the first test. They know how to win a game of cricket. I think we're in for another epic. This England side just know how to play the exciting game, and the kind of gets us on the edge of our seats. But I'd like to see a bit more sensibility at times. It's not going to happen.
From an England perspective, though, I mean, the fact that they fought so hard to get back into it this morning, 5 for 77, Anderson and Broad getting the initial incision, and then Robertson getting a couple. Tongue again, getting Smith on 110. We'll speak about Stephen Smith in a little bit again in the hotspot, I think. But they did their bit. They needed to win the session. They did so comprehensively. They won the second session. So it was on the cusp of being almost the perfect day. And with the ball, I mean, half the job's done. They've taken 10 wickets.
Yeah, the reason why we're criticising England in a way is that they had Australia by the danglies, but England have won the day. Overall, if you'd have said to England at the start of the day's play, you see off Australia's last 5 for 77, you end up 140 light, 4 wickets down, they'd have grabbed your hand at the start of the day's play. So let's not oversee the whole kind of scenario of the day. It's just England are continuously, over the last few test matches. You look at New Zealand, the second test, they should have won that game easily. They allowed New Zealand back in the game, they lost it. The first test of the Ashes, dominated the game, allowed Australia back in, they lose that. They had a chance this afternoon. They had a real chance to really nail Australia. And if it had been that there'd have been 20 runs lighter by playing with a little bit more sense, and if you want to call it negative, play negatively, and only have lost 2 or 3 wickets, I'd have taken that over the 140 light, having lost 4. And they're only 2 away from Stuart Broad or Ollie Robinson. I'm not sure who's going to bat 8. And when you've got Mitchell Starc in your ranks bowling 90-mile-an-hour left-arm thunderbolts, we know what he can do to tell. So England have got to make sure the next 2 partnerships get themselves close to that first innings total.
All right, Vaughanie, let's go into the hot spot. In the hot spot, Stephen Peter Devereux-Smith, a Test century number 32, 7th in England, 12th in Ashes cricket, joins level with Hobbs, only Bradman with 19 ahead of him on that measure. Joins Steve Waugh with 32, only Ricky Ponting ahead of him for Australia. He's been so frighteningly consistent from sort of 10 test block to 10 test block over the last 7 or 8 years, make it 10 years, back to 2013. I wonder, because of that, where he'll be seen at the end, especially in the context of the Fab Four. Might he be the best?
Yeah, I mean, I think in Test match cricket, for me, he's been the best over the last few years consistently, because he's played different styles of innings, and he's got hundreds here in 19 when the ball was whipping around all over the place. We know how good a player he is against the Kookaburra in his own backyard, but I saw it yesterday as soon as he came out there. I think inside about the first 3 balls, you saw the middle of the bat. Yeah. He whipped one on the onside, then he played a core drive, and I went, yeah, he's getting 100. Great players. They love the attention, they love the environment, they love the occasion, they love the atmosphere of special venues. No more special than here at Lord's. As soon as he walks out at the MCG, you always go, he'll get 100. Yeah. It's just that kind of, that ability that great players have. They just know how to sense and play the big occasion. He got 200s at Edgbaston in 19, and on this kind of wicket, it would not surprise me if he chalks up another 100 in the second innings and he's on that honours board once again. Because once Smith finds rhythm and form, as we saw in 19, he's very, very, very difficult to dislodge.
Before we go, let's press fast forward. Vaughanie, Nathan Lyon. Already referenced him hobbling off the ground. Australia have still got 16 wickets to take, and they've got 3 test matches after this. Give us some sort of sense in what's ahead, how big a loss that might be.
Oh, I think it's huge. I mean, if England can win here, it's not going to be easy, because they're going to have to bat last. And I know England are a good chasing team, but if they can win here and take it to Leeds 1-1, look, it looks like Nathan's going to be struggling for at least the next week or so. So the lucky thing for Australia, it's not luck, because they develop him. Tom Murphy's a good off spinner, so they've got a like-for-like replacement. He did well in India, so he's not Nathan Lyon, but he's a decent off spinner. I look at Travis Head actually on this kind of surface. The way that he fires them in, he'll be handy in the second innings. But Nathan Lyon, so close to that 500th. a brilliant bowler, and not just a brilliant bowler in terms of getting wickets. What he does for his seamers, he holds an end and he allows Pat Cummins to rotate his seamers from the other end, scores a few handed runs, brilliant in the field. So he's a huge loss. And there's only cricket where I feel when someone gets injured so badly like that and it affects the game. You know, any other sport, you get the subs up and you can replace them. You know, we have concussion replacement. When someone gets a genuine injury in the first innings of the game, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'll get absolutely lambasted for this. Is cricket behind the trend of other sports? And we should be able to, you know, Jimmy Anderson, the first day of the Ashes in 19. Is cricket just behind the trend of what should happen, that, you know, maybe a substitute should be allowed?
Interesting perspective as always from Michael Vaughan. I'm Adam Collins. This is Cricbuzz Chatter. Chat to you tomorrow.